Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to plunge into the most compelling topics, really arm you with the insights you need to be genuinely well-informed. Today, we're diving deep into the incredibly fast-moving world of cryptocurrency in 2025. And it's not just about digital money anymore, is it? We're talking significant regulatory shifts, this powerful convergence of AI and crypto, and even, practical ways to get involved, like cloud mining. The space is really maturing.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And what's so insightful here, and you see this clearly in our sources, is how the global landscape for digital assets isn't just getting bigger, it's becoming much more defined.
Yeah.
It feels like a real pivot,
Yeah.
from that kind of Wild West feel to a more established frontier. And that's unlocking new forms of capital, new innovation, things that were maybe stifled before by all the uncertainty.
That's a great way to frame it. An established frontier. Okay, so for this deep dive, which we've tailored specifically for you, we've pulled from some really strong sources. We've got the PwC Global Crypto Regulation Report 2025. Very comprehensive. Also, a cutting-edge analysis called AI and Crypto Convergence drives 2025 market growth, and then some practical, detailed reviews of cloud mining platforms. So our mission today, it's really to distill the most important nuggets, the key takeaways from all this, to help you understand exactly where crypto is heading and, maybe more importantly, why it matters for you.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Well, let's kick off with what might be the biggest story here, the sort of fundamental shift underpinning so much else: the regulatory landscape. Our sources are really clear on this. 2025 marks a huge turning point. We're moving away from that old, murky, ambiguous regulation towards much clearer frameworks for digital assets, worldwide. It really feels like policymakers are, finally getting serious about finding that balance, fostering innovation while still protecting investors and ensuring financial stability.
And it's fascinating to watch how this clarity is playing out differently in different places. It's not uniform. Each region, each country sometimes has its own nuances.
Right.
Take the U.S., for instance. We're seeing a pretty notable pivot there towards a more, let's say, crypto-friendly regulatory stance. Definitely stepping away from that regulation by enforcement approach.
Yeah, that caused so much confusion.
So much uncertainty and, frankly, a lot of friction in the market. Yeah.
And it's not just talk, right? Lawmakers are actually revisiting key crypto bills. Things like the Digital Asset Market Structure and Investor Protection Act. The idea is to finally clarify that sometimes conflicting oversight between the SEC and the CFTC.
That's been a long time coming.
It has. Plus, there's a strong expectation, you see this in the reports, for new staked ETFs, exchange-traded funds, getting approved in 2025 and beyond. That's a huge signal, especially for institutional investors.
Definitely. It gives them a regulated pathway in.
Exactly.
And this push for clarity, it also extends to how the U.S. government views the future of digital currency itself. The sources suggest a clear preference for a market-driven stablecoin ecosystem. And interestingly, explicitly prohibiting a U.S. central bank digital currency, a CBDC, unless Congress explicitly approves it. That position, backed by Executive Order 14178, really suggests they trust private sector innovation more than government issuance here.
Which builds nicely into the next point, the Senate Genius stablecoin bill passed in June 2025. Now, Genius, that stands for Guaranteeing Essential Nexuses in Unified Stablecoin Issuance. Quite a mouthful.
It is.
But the aim is basically to commoditize stablecoin issuance, laying out clear requirements, strict collateral standards, federal oversight, making sure these things are transparent, audited regularly, and always one-to-one backed. It's a massive step towards making stablecoins, legitimate and trusted.
Yeah, a really foundational piece of legislation. Meanwhile, if we hop across the Atlantic, the European Union's made some pretty big strides with MiCAR.
MiCAR, right. Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation.
Yeah, exactly. That became fully operational back in December 2024. And the goal there is this powerful EU harmonized framework, a single rule book across, 27 nations?
Yeah.
That's huge for businesses operating across borders.
Huge. But, like you said earlier, not without its quirks, is it? Because while there's this transitional grandfathering period until mid-2026 for existing firms...
Right, to give them time to adapt.
Yeah, but some EU countries are doing their own thing, like Austria and Ireland. They cut that period down to just 12 months. Spain set a deadline of December 2025. And Lithuania, no transition period at all.
Wow, okay.
And Finland had issuance rules kicking in way back in June 2024. So even with a harmonized framework, you still get this inconsistency, which must be a headache for businesses trying to scale across Europe.
Absolutely. Creates complexity, My card also brings in specific requirements for crypto asset issuers, CAIs, mostly around white papers, those detailed disclosure documents.
Mm-hmm.
Though, sensibly, there are exemptions for things like free offerings, mining rewards, unique NFTs, or small offerings to qualified investors.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Oop.
It's also quite notable that my card prohibits yield and interest on e-money tokens, EMTs. That feels like a more conservative approach, maybe trying to prevent some of the risks we saw in earlier crypto boom and bust cycles.
That makes sense. And MyCar isn't the only game in town in Europe, right? There's also Dodor.
Right. The Digital Operational Resilience Act. That's all about managing ICT risks, information, and communication technology, making sure crypto firms have robust systems, especially against cyber threats.
Okay.
Plus, the European Central Bank is deep in its digital euro preparation phase. They're aiming for a decision on whether to proceed by the end of 2025. So yeah, Europe's definitely dynamic right now, really focused on integrating digital assets securely.
And the UK, what's happening there?
Well, the UK government announced its plan back in late 2024, basically bringing crypto asset and stablecoin activities fully into the regulated financial services perimeter.
Okay, bring it into the fold.
It's exactly. The FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, has its crypto roadmap for 2025-2026. That includes regulating the issuance and custody of fiat-backed stablecoins. And just for context, their travel rule, that rule about sharing customer info for transactions, that's actually been in effect since September 2023.
So they've been moving on that for a while. Okay, let's swing over to Asia. Seems like quite a proactive region, often experimenting a bit more.
Yeah, definitely seeing some interesting pilots. Japan's Minibank, for instance, is piloting stablecoins on the Solana blockchain, really exploring practical uses. Hong Kong SAR is very clearly aiming to be a global hub. They've got a stablecoins bill expected in 2025 that will require licenses from the HKMA, their monetary authority.
Right.
And India. Well, India's interesting. Crypto assets themselves remain largely unregulated within the country. But since March 2023, virtual asset service providers, VASPs, have been brought under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So they're clearly focused on monitoring transactions for illicit finance, even if the assets themselves aren't fully regulated yet.
So it's this like kaleidoscope of different regulatory approaches popping up globally. But the real test, I guess, is how well are they actually being implemented and coordinated? What are the big global standard setters seeing, like FATF or BCBS?
Yeah, good question. The FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, their update from June 2024. Well, it wasn't great news on the implementation front. They found that global AML-CFT, that's anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism implementation, is still lagging significantly. Like 75% of jurisdictions surveyed were only partially compliant or not compliant at all.
75%? Wow.
Yeah, and nearly 30% hadn't even implemented the travel rule yet. Plus, there's this growing concern they highlighted about virtual assets potentially being used for proliferation financing.
Just porting WMDs. That's serious.
Very serious. Meanwhile, the BCBS, the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, they issued revised rules in July 2024. These are for how banks should treat crypto asset exposures, and they kick in January 2026.
Okay, so rules for the banks.
Right. They're basically splitting crypto assets into two main groups.
All right.
Group one is things like tokenized traditional assets and stable coins that are genuinely stabilized. You know, crypto that acts a lot like traditional assets, just on a blockchain.
Got it. Less risky stuff.
Relatively, yeah. Then there's group two. That's your unbacked cryptocurrencies, your algorithmic stablecoins, the generally more volatile, less predictable stuff.
And I bet the rules are tougher for Group 2.
You betcha. Much stricter.
Yeah.
Banks getting involved with Group 2 assets face tight limits. Their exposure generally shouldn't exceed 2% of their Tier 1 capital.
Which is their core financial strength measure.
Exactly. And if they breach those limits, they face really high-risk weights, meaning they have to hold way more capital against those assets, which basically discourages them from holding too much. It's a clear push for financial stability in the traditional banking system as it starts to engage with crypto.
Makes sense. Okay, let's zoom in on stablecoins for a moment, because our sources actually call them the iPhone moment for crypto. I love that analogy.
A good one, yeah.
They really do seem to be bridging traditional finance and blockchain, offering that stability that's often missing in the broader crypto market.
And they're not just theoretical concepts anymore. They have some really profound real-world uses already changing lives. Look at Pakistan, for example.
Yeah.
It's an economy often hit by hyperinflation, right? Well, there's this thing called the ZAR network. It lets users deposit their local currency at mobile kiosks and receive stablecoins in return. It basically gives them access to financial services and a way to hedge against that currency instability.
Wow. Like a digital safety net for their saving?
Exactly. It's incredible. Someone in Pakistan can use digital assets to protect their savings in a way maybe traditional banks can't or don't offer. And think about the Philippines.
Remittances.
Huge market there, right? $36 billion. Stablecoins are being used actively for remittances, cutting costs way down and speeding up transfers. So yeah, it's moving beyond just speculation. It's solving real, tangible financial pain points for millions.
That's powerful stuff.
And looking ahead, there's another really intriguing use case starting to emerge. AI agents using stablecoins for autonomous transactions.
Okay, tell me more. That sounds futuristic.
It kind of is. Imagine your AI personal assistant being able to pay for subscriptions, manage microtransactions, all securely using stablecoins without ever needing your actual bank details.
Ah, okay, so it's safer than sharing bank info.
Exactly. It lets AI systems operate economically using crypto wallets. It really hints at these future economies where AI handles routine payments with, amazing efficiency and privacy.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting, maybe a bit sci-fi, as you said. The AI crypto synergy. The sources are emphasizing this convergence as a key driver for market growth in 2025. What makes these two fields? Why are they such a powerful mix?
Well, think about the challenges AI brings, especially things like deepfakes, bots, stuff that can really erode trust online.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Right, so how do we ensure genuine human interaction?
Yeah.
How do we verify identity in a world swimming in AI? And that's where crypto offers some potentially powerful solutions. Things like proof of humanity.
Proof of humanity, like WorldCoin.
Exactly like WorldCoin. Using those biometric orbs combined with zero-knowledge proofs.
Right, proving something's true without revealing the data itself.
Precisely, like proving a secret without telling the secret. They use that to verify someone is a unique human without actually compromising their privacy.
So the idea is to make sure online interactions, whether it's social media or financial transactions, involve real humans, not AI fakes.
That's the goal. It's really about crypto potentially acting as a crucial counterbalance to some of AI's risks, enabling decentralized systems to build and maintain trust in ways that AI, if unchecked, might undermine. It's like building a digital trust layer for the age of AI.
Fascinating. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and get practical. Cloud mining. For people new to crypto or maybe just looking for passive income, this seems like a popular way in, right? Because you don't need the hardware.
Exactly. No expensive rigs, no dealing with heat or complicated setups. The sources mention several platforms that are apparently well regarded in 2025 for, stable profit guarantees and ease of use.
Which ones?
Names like Cryptosolo, NiceHash, Bitfufu, Bemine, Minergate, and Gminer come up. They basically handle all the tech stuff for you.
And do the economics make sense? Is there an example?
Yeah, they give a specific one. If you were solo mining, meaning doing it yourself with your own gear, using something like an Antminer S19 Pro rig.
Okay, common piece of kit.
Right. Assuming it costs maybe $3,000, your electricity is cheap at, say, 0.03 cents per kilowatt hour, and Bitcoin's price is around $85,000.
Big assumptions, but okay.
Yeah, standard assumptions for these calculations. Under those conditions, the sources suggest you could potentially yield around $12.01 per day. So it shows the potential for, consistent, maybe modest returns.
Got it. $12 a day. And what about merged mining? I saw that mentioned.
Yeah, that's a clever technique. It lets you mine multiple blockchain networks at the same time with the same effort.
Oh, interesting.
So you get diversified profits, potentially earning different cryptocurrencies without needing more hardware or using more power. It's about getting more bang for your buck from your mining setup.
Smart strategy. Okay, let's shift again. Thinking about who's driving innovation here. Startups versus the big established players, the incumbents. It still feels like startups are leading the charge in crypto, doesn't it?
It does seem that way. And a big reason, according to the sources, is that startups just aren't weighed down by legacy systems or existing business models that might conflict with crypto.
Right.
Think about the big tech incumbents like Google or Facebook. Historically, they've been pretty hesitant about deep crypto integration. The sources suggest it's not just regulatory fear, though that's part of it.
What else then?
It's also direct conflicts with their core business models. These highly centralized ad-based models. If you decentralize a social network, using crypto principles, for example, they could directly eat into their main revenue stream.
Ah, okay. So it threatens their current way of doing business. You can see why they'd be cautious. But some are dipping their toes in, right? Like Stripe using stablecoins for payments.
Exactly. Selective adoption. They see the utility in specific areas like payments.
So what's the catalyst then? What might push these bigger players towards wider adoption?
Well, this brings us back to regulation. Regulatory clarity, like that U.S. Genius Act we talked about, seems to be a huge catalyst.
How so?
It makes token networks much more viable. Startups can use them to align incentives, distribute ownership, all without that constant fear of, unexpected legal trouble. And that same clarity lowers the risk for the big, cautious institutions, too. It gives them a clearer rule book, makes the whole playing field more predictable for everyone.
Right, it de-risks it for them. Okay, this has been, wow, a really comprehensive deep dive. Let's try and quickly recap some of the main insights we've pulled out.
Good.
Okay, first, practical utility is really starting to win out over just hype, especially stablecoins. They're showing real-world value, solving actual problems like cross-border payments, remittances, moving way beyond just being speculative bets.
Definitely. Second point, decentralization is emerging as a genuinely powerful force for, well, empowerment. Crypto is enabling these autonomous systems that challenge centralized power, whether that's traditional banks or even potentially powerful AI companies.
Third, that regulatory clarity we spent so much time on, it's absolutely acting as a catalyst. These legislative shifts are debunking old myths, encouraging compliant innovation globally. That's so crucial for bringing more people and institutions into the space.
Fourth, understanding crypto isn't just about tech anymore, is it? It demands this interdisciplinary view. It's this fascinating mix of technology, economics, and policy. And we're seeing its potential as maybe a critical counterbalance to some AI risks.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, I think we're seeing this phased and increasingly inclusive growth. Adoptions happening in waves. Sometimes emerging markets are leading in surprising ways, but there's still this ongoing urgent need for better user experience and stronger trust mechanisms.
Well put.
So the final thought for you, the listener, is what does all this actually mean for your engagement with the digital economy? As crypto gets more mainstream, more integrated, how might these big regulatory changes and these tech convergences like AI and crypto shape your own financial life, maybe even your digital identity in the years ahead?
It's a future that's definitely taking shape right now, and it really promises to redefine how we interact with value, with information, each other online.
It certainly does. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into crypto in 2025. We really hope this gave you some fascinating insights, maybe sparked some new questions too. Keep exploring these topics. They're complex, but definitely exciting.